All right. Good evening, everybody. The date is April 2nd. The time is 7:35. My name is Kwame Afreh, and I call the Land Use Committee meeting for Community Board 17 to order. Before we get started, before we dive into tonight's agenda, I want to just take a brief point of personal privilege. We spend a lot of time talking about structures and spaces in our community. But at the end of the day, it's the people in the community that make everything move, and it's our motion. So I received some difficult news today about Chair Daly, and I'm choosing to share that information with you so then you could then make your own inferences about it. The message that I received from his family is as follows. It says, "Dear family and friends, we received difficult news from the doctors that there are no more treatments to control the cancer, and Roderick has decided to move forward with hospice care to focus on comfort and pain control. We appreciate your love and support during this time, and we'll keep you updated." Signed, the Dailies. I know this is hard news to hear, but let's keep Chair Daly and his entire family in our hearts as they navigate this tough time. Let's keep his vigilance and community spirits close as we move forward on tonight's business and the community's business in the coming days. As a leader of most of our meetings, I'll start with the proffer. Our committee advocates for the responsible planning and development within our district. We provide input on zoning changes, business improvement districts, variances, special permits, and other land use matters in accordance with the New York City Charter. We strive for balance and preservation of our community's character with the need of thoughtful development that benefits all residents. Our responsibilities include landmarks, historic preservation, housing issues, budget matters related to the HPD, DOB, and the DCP. There hasn't been any formal business brought to the board regarding any applications in the month of March. There hasn't been extended or outreach communication pertaining to the contextual zoning plan with the DCP. I did look into a inquiry that was made last month about the property on Albany and Linden, which was abandoned for a while. The address is 851 Albany Avenue, which is located on the corner of Albany and Linden. I want to say on the southeast corner, right? The permit that was pulled there was for alteration type 3. That permit issues means that there's going to be construction in the building that doesn't change or alter the building's use or occupancy. So what actually is being proposed there is two individual buildings, two separate, two-family buildings are going to be occupying the space on the corner of Albany and Linden. It is being built as of right. I don't really see anything that's outside of the guidelines or outside of the things as far as permits being pulled for what's actually being erected there. The office did receive notice from a concerned resident regarding the construction of a proposed or what's being perceived as a homeless shelter on 125th East 55th Street. It's supposed to be a 61-foot tall building, about 3,000 square feet. The permit was filed on December 19th. And the owner is being represented by a drafting company called L. Meltzer. We reached out to DHS from the office to confirm if the inquiry was correct, to see if it was actually a building there. We didn't get any notifications. We're not really sure where the concerned resident got the information saying that it would be that being erected there, but they haven't responded back to the date. But the property that is taking its place is also being built as of right, as it zones R6, and the proposed building could move forward with the as of right statute. And really, that's all the information I have, or any new information I have. from last month to now. Are there any questions regarding any of the information that's been brought to you? If so, please raise your hand and I'll acknowledge. Ms. Bennett?
Oh, yes. You said the person has information that this is going to be a homeless shelter?
Excuse me? I'm sorry, I missed the first part.
The person stated it's going to be a homeless shelter.
That's what they said.
So if it's as of right, then I guess it would be a homeless shelter.
The building that's being built there, it's not a matter of use, but at this time, it is a building with 28 units. The average square footage is 500 foot. I mean, there's no information out there that I could procure that would say that that's what that building is going to be used for, but the concerned resident brought the pulled permit to our attention stating that fact. I haven't been able to confirm that.
If they brought it, then let me ask you this. How many homeless shelters do we need in this community?
I don't think that we need any. We're surrounded on the borders by some proposed ones on the Clarendon and by the hospital. I would think that you wouldn't want anything, especially in the central part of the community like this one is, but.
Well, they have two already, men's shelters. They converted from family shelters to men's shelters within a block of the school. Two of them, one on Glenwood Road in Nexus 7, and then the other one is on East 98th Street. I didn't go there and check. I was never found out that is now a men's shelter. That's why I keep seeing all these men roaming all over the place.
Yeah, the way they're utilizing these facilities, but they haven't been coming to us to formally say that that's what's going there. If they have been popping up, they are doing it in a very quiet way.
Yeah, because they don't want us to fight as we did the last one on Kings Highway, because there were sexual offenders in there. So that's something we have to check for. Not just a matter of having them, it's a matter of having people in there who are not going to hurt children.
Totally agree. There was a statute that he did pull out, the resident. But I need to get confirmation from DHS that they're permitting that to go into that property first before I follow up on the statute, which is when they're supposed to actually come and notify the community in some matter. But at this time, it is only a permit pulled. For plans, there is no demolition permits. There's no building happening at this time, but it has been pulled. So it is something that will be coming in the future.
Well, the last time we went through this, they didn't tell us. We had to check for ourselves. That's something they don't want people to know. Thank you. But we need to check.
Yeah, we're gonna follow up. There was a property, there was another inquiry on Church and I think 58th Street, but I don't think there's a church in 58. So I went over there. I couldn't really see exactly what was being spoken about. Does anybody remember about that? Or did the meeting minutes get that address wrong? There was another property on Church.
Church, and I think 53rd.
So
I think it, no, 50, I think it's 50, I think it's 50, 56 or 58. Right on the corner.
where the tire shop is? Over there?
No. It's about a block down.
Okay. Closer to North Strand or further from North Strand? Across Kings Highway or across the street from it?
Across Kings Highway.
Okay. All right.
They put a tall pencil building up.
All right. Yeah,
So
so
there's something else going up right now. We got the green board up. It's on Kings Highway and East 59th Street.
you said they have a what going up?
Green board.
Oh,
It's in the
the-
back
the
and it was
fence.
digging. Yeah, they got digging. They surrounded the whole property.
Okay. About a car dealership? What are
No,
you talking about?
it's on Kings Highway itself.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
Let me get you the address. I have to get you the address.
Yeah, if you can, that would be great. Thank you. Any other questions pertaining to the information? Sorry, I don't have the chat in front of me. Okay, seeing none, we still need the room to come in a little bit, I guess. Hopefully we get a little bit better attendance. It's not like us, but we're gonna subdue the meeting minutes until we have enough members in the room to actually speak to it. And I think we could go to our presenter for the evening. Miss Allison Martinez, are you here?
I'm here.
Okay,
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to share screen now.
absolutely.
Just let me know whether or not you can see the screen because I can't tell on my own.
Yes, I
Okay,
can see.
great. Thank you, everyone, for your time tonight. Obviously, first off, I just want to just acknowledge, like, obviously sending thoughts, prayers, wishes, and hopes, best hopes for Rudy in this time. But as you said, we're going to keep moving forward with the community work, which would be what he would want to see us do. So thank you. Tonight, I'm going to present on Brooklyn Level Up's vision for a potential outcome of what we can do as we're moving forward with the IBX. So tonight, we'll talk about who we are, Brooklyn Level Up, what we do and our impact, what we know right now, Brownfield project overview of what's possible, and then questions and next steps. This is a picture of our current team. I am the founding exec director. We have Yvette Mendez, who is a community person, actually a neighbor of mine, who's director of programs, Melanie Glace, programs, Zalia Grillette, our COO, Rose Hugh, who helps us with brand and vision, Sade Reed, who is our board liaison. And actually, we now have a new member of us, Brian Belmont, who's our new CLT organizer, who you will meet in the future. So what does Brooklyn Level Up do? Brooklyn Level Up is a community development and social impact lab. Our focus area is East Flatbush, and Flatlands, which we affectionately call the Flats. And our work really is in 3 initiatives. We have the Collective, which is our small business incubator, where we also work on advocacy for small businesses and other issues, which is the framework we're using for tonight. We have the Flat CLT, which is our community land trust for affordable housing and commercial space. And then Cultivate, which is where we do a lot of our environmental justice work, be it soil testing, flood story collection and advocacy work, as well as visioning on vacant lots. Our impact thus far, we've trained over 50 youth in our EcoPower internship on environmental justice, soil testing, story collection and the like, design thinking. We've collected over 250 samples. We know about a lot about the soils and soil quality and health in East Flatbush. We've supported over 1,200 homeowners through work in the tax lien sale. We collect stories, which is about our preservation of the history and heritage of this culture in this community. And we support small businesses and have, in this past year, secured over $500,000 in grant funding for the work that we do. So what we know now. So through this past year, we have conducted pop-up vacant lot visioning events where we have invited community residents, be they youth in Tilden or Erasmus or seniors or anyone passing by, to stop and really take a moment to really think about what are better uses of these vacant spaces that exist in our community. Instead of just walking by them, what could they be? We've heard people from young to old interested in community parks, tennis, sports, pop-up shops, just anything to actually make quality of life improve where we are. And that data that we've collected also ends up on what we have called Map the Culture, which is a community mapping tool, which I would say in the next couple of months, you'll be able to see more of what we've collected over time. What else we know from our work is that East Flatbush in particular is the highest, first and highest when it comes to the impact of extreme heat. This means that electricity costs on the grid are harder. We also have higher costs for energy to deal with the heat, and we have higher impacts because we have higher rates of asthma. So all of these things are impacting the health and wealth of the community. We're third highest when it comes to lead in the soil and air quality. We really are relying on higher level federal and city data because we don't have enough hyperlocal community data about air quality that is known, which we would have by having more monitors in our community and the like. We already have experience with De Costole to know that this is an issue that we need to get more of a handle on. So this is kind of like our baseline. What we also know is that the state is moving forward with the Interborough Express. This is a commuter light rail project that will connect Sunset Park and Bay Ridge to Jackson Heights, Queens. It is intended to serve over almost 1 million residents and 260 workers in what have been deemed underserved neighborhoods. These 17 super subway lines and LIRR will also be added into the mix of where the value is supposed to be of this project. So if you're interested, you can always get a quick read FAQs or long read study, and I'll also share this deck after the call. But this is what we know is moving forward regardless of community members' feelings about the project, pro or con. As a result, we also know that there will be 3 stations in our area. Flatbush, which will be right at the junction. Then we have Utica, which will be most likely at Utica and Farragut. And then we also have Remsen. We know that we then need to think about what would we want in these spaces as well. We know there will be a station site, but what else could there be? Looking back at 1440, we know that that's Brocky. The station will most likely be there. It'll be thus far about 300 square feet, as what we've heard thus far, but it's 18,000 square feet of space there. Across the street where the abandoned car wash is, we know that, as you can see, this is like a picture I took a couple years ago of how bad the dumping can get there. As well as we know that this is a space that, even though it's boarded up, still gets used for steel pan practice. And even though it's not in the best condition, and in fact, there's no real soundproofing for the area. This is what we know to be the case. So the thought is, why don't we leverage this 1 in a million opportunity to get something that the community wants? We know that our elected officials, our governor in particular, obviously, this is a state project, want to move forward with this light rail project. So we should leverage that to get community assets built that could be of use to our community. Brooklyn Level Up, from its work, has thought that, and looking at emergency planning and the lack thereof in terms of spaces and real strategy and for people to really optimize what we do in situations such as emergencies, thought that, you know what, this could be an opportunity to build a community resilience hub. A community resilience hub can be activated in times of emergency as a place for backup generator action, for people to come to wash clothes. It could be for to charge phones or computers, or for seniors who may have medication, to have them refrigerated and keep them optimal and safe. That's what we use for that. But in the ready state, in the time when we don't have an emergency, it's another space that we could have in the community where people could come together to learn, to access resources, be they residents or small businesses. There could be support services in that same space, as well as additional co-working and office space for nonprofits who are often without a home and need places to operate. So again, steady state, disruption phase, and recovery. We would have a space that could help us really leverage an opportunity like this to get something that we don't have and could use. In addition, looking at the reality of the fact that there are not enough spaces anymore that can deal with noise that comes from steel pan, we thought, what if the car wash was actually turned into a culture and sound lab? And this would be where you could still have soundproofing installation to be able to practice steel pan, but also we want to see if we can have it as a heritage site to maintain the history of it, but also bring it into the future by seeing how and where steel pan could be used in the context of environmental justice and climate change. And that's through reuse of materials to make steel pans, but also testing whether or not steel pan music can impact plant growth. It can have all of these other legs in life that will then actually lead to it being a useful tool for teaching young people about workforce development in the environmental green economy space. It could be a wellness space as well. It has a lot more legs that it could have in the future, which could really expand the value of preserving it. It could also be a site for, as we think about energy and what a community-owned resilient space like this could be, it could also have be a distributed energy resource hub where we could have a community-owned data center or server. Those are things that we have to think about in the future, because as we can see, we can't rely on government necessarily to save us. We have to save us, and that means we have to really be thinking about what are the community assets we need to make a completely whole place to live. The goal too is to think about those two spaces could be a catalyst for a green bid up and down Utica Avenue. When you look at this photo, what do you not see on Utica? You can actually answer. You can come off mute.
It's $9.99.
I can't hear you, Adele.
Nothing that's green.
Exactly. There are no trees.
Yeah.
No trees at all. And that's no matter which direction you look. And this is an opportunity to change this into a green focus bid that would add tree canopy, which would also help bring down the heat, which would then help with natural solutions to help lower costs. Also, more importantly for us to think about too, is if we tie in culture and heritage to it, we have to think about what are ways to get people to come off that train and spend their time and their money in our community. And the reality is, if we leave it as it is, there's no reason why someone is getting off that train, and it will just be a pass-through community. And I don't think we should sit back and let that happen. So, next steps. Who benefits, who decides, and who stays? We know that there are other underutilized parcels there, could be warehouses, automobile repair shops, some of which are already closing up as well. Where other potential brownfield sites which could have some level of contamination or not. We also have longstanding homeowners and legacy businesses. We again have a heat vulnerable corridor. We have car carcasses which make it very difficult to traverse up and down that street. And again, we have no reason to get off that train. So without a community plan, though, other people and other developers who are not connected to this community, who don't have a relationship with us, will be making decisions about what the development looks like here. If we don't get ahead of it by organizing to figure out what the impacts can be on displacement, on property values, on property tax, commercial rents, or just really knowing what we have and what we need and use this as an opportunity to build. So what would that mean? And what should we do? That means that we should move forward with trying to get a brownfield opportunity area designation for the area. And what that is a program. There's a federal program and there's also a state and city version. And what it is it allows you to harness and use funds from, in this case, they're applying at the state level and using city funds for the technical assistance for it, but allows you to do analysis on your community and have that be paid by the city so that you're doing planning work on what the needs are, what are the best use of space. And in our case, because we care about making sure that we're not displacing legacy businesses and the homeowners who've made this community their own, that is a part of that analysis. What are the strategies that we could utilize to make sure that the people who've made this community what it is can stay here and live well, but also recognize there are needs here as well, and we should be the ones at the table deciding what they can be. So full plan would allow us to really figure out what the corridor boundary should be for the analysis. It would allow us to exercise some real opportunities to get real data that we don't have about our property values and the impacts, look at displacement, look at how we could reuse buildings that exist as well, and prepare for jobs and workforce development for the future. And it's an opportunity to really look at what a green economy could look like in our community. The estimated cost is about $300,000 to $500,000, but we do get a lot of technical analysis and support. And we would have to, after we get this data and this planning done, we would have to then go after construction funding and also relationship building with developers who are of like mind that we can work with, who would prioritize and help us build the capital stacks to build the things that we want and need. Again, knowing this community, the focus is homeowner stability and legacy small business protection. We would not be the organization or the board that we have been if we weren't focused on how we can make sure that we are tackling these issues, which we've seen the ravages of gentrification when we're not at the table making the decisions, and it's as of right. So let's see what we can do when we work with people who are in our frame of mind and thinking. So next steps, who do we work with? It's the community board 17 tonight. Like this presentation, I'm sharing with you an opportunity, and by no means is this a done deal that I'm saying, oh, let's build this. This is a starting point. There are other parcels that we can analyze and think through as a community of like what we would like to see. And this is just the beginning of those conversations. What we do need, though, to support getting the technical assistance grant that we need to start this work, as this project is moving forward, the IBX is moving forward, regardless of what we say or do, and the fact that they're in the design and review phase already. As a result, we need a resolution of support for our application for this grant. We need to work with homeowners, with tenants, block associations, merchants, and workers. We have to work with government officials. I've had some preliminary conversations with MTA, with the Office of Environmental Remediation, the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice, EDC, SBS, DEP, all of the above. We're starting to have those conversations because it's important for us to get our team together. And we need elected officials at every level to really, be on board with us. And then we have to organize a coalition of other organizations in the area, community groups, be you formalized or not, mission aligned developers, and technical assistance providers. So once we have this ecosystem working, this is the team that will be moving forward. And that hopefully will include people on this board to be part of the work that we have to do going forward. So what's next? Again, convening a neighborhood coalition, walking the blocks to define where we want the corridor boundaries to be for this BOA designation. We need to help secure the community board resolutions. It may also include 18 if we look past the overpass onto the other side, which we know then it traverses into CB 18's area. We also have to help secure elected official and organization letters of support. And we want to start doing some surveying of community members to get more information so we can get more support and show that we have a community that's actually knowledgeable and interested in this project and what we can do moving forward. And that's it. I have time for questions or thoughts.
I got a question. The parcels that you had where you did the community outreach, were they state-owned parcels
No,
or
those
city-owned
parcels are,
parcels? Sorry, I'm not
oh,
city.
so you mean over, so during the reimagined vacant lots, or you mean
Yeah,
these two particular
yeah,
parcels that I'm
yeah.
looking
I
at here?
started with that, and then I'll lead into this one. Yeah.
Oh, so we actually, our community doesn't have as much publicly owned land to actually leverage. So we've been mostly looking at privately owned lots for our pop-ups. We do have some, but our first of some city-owned ones, but our first round we were looking more at vacant lots that didn't have a building structure on them. A lot
Mhm.
of the city-owned ones have a structure on them. But we're trying to, side note, we're also applying for a grant to acquire a vacant lot to turn it into like a pocket park. So that's why we started with that. These two lots that we're looking at for this project are privately owned, although the car wash, the city has been trying to reclaim that one.
Okay. And what happens with, with the designation? What does that mean for the actual ownership? Should they be like an active and not an absentee ownership? Would that parcel be purchased from them through the
Well,
designation, or?
our goal would be to leverage the fact that we know for a fact the Brocky site is going to be purchased by MTA to build the station. So the goal is, do we, and this is a design and community
Mhm.
question, is do we have this community resilience hub be next to the station, or should the station be part of the design of the hub as well? And because we know that they're going to pick up that whole parcel, but they only plan to use about 300 to 400 square feet of it. And as I said, it's 18,000 square feet. My thought is it could have, I've been looking at like some design things where essentially the best, most environmentally sound design is a courtyard setting. So maybe building with a center courtyard and having public access. So we create yet another open space in that area that people could actually utilize.
Last
So
question
that,
before I go to Adele is the legislative process to actually get that designation. What does that look like? What does it look like to get that applied to these
yeah. So
parcels? And could it be applied to even the parcels that are privately owned outside of it? Like, could you package these two? And let's
it
just
has
say
to be.
the three that you did the pop-ups at, could they all be a part of the same thing and all the areas can be designated under the BOA? Or is it something that needs to be like tethered to a design or something
It
like
doesn't have
that?
to be tethered to the design. And it is actually, we have to get, like I said, we have to like walk around to get what the boundaries will be, because it won't be just
Mhm.
those two parcels. It'll be, we're really looking at, um, we have to decide how far up Utica we want to go,
Okay.
because they want to look at an area, not just like one or two buildings. So we would be looking probably, well, it depends how far we want to go up Utica, but and how in both directions, because we may looking at it, they want like at least 2 acres up to 50 acres. And it is an application process that will open up in May. But I had been having conversations about, and actually took part in a learning cohort that I just got a certificate from last couple weeks ago, actually, from for about 6 months, learning about brownfields and how to apply for them. And from that, what I learned is that they really want fuller areas, and we really need to really take a larger look at like what's possible. And it doesn't have to be publicly or privately owned. It's really about getting the planning and analysis done to know what types of impacts there could be, and to prepare for them, and what are we going to figure out as supportive solutions should any of those things occur. We know that if we do nothing, oriented development will just decide wholesalely, and most likely a lot of people will be wiped out for costs and the like. But if we're part of that solution, and then looking at how, because we know people will be changing zoning, that is going to happen. But if we have a plan for what zoning we want, we're in a better position to argue for what we need.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Bennett, you're acknowledged.
Yeah, I have a question, simple question. They said that we could be part of the hub for the MTA. Okay, wouldn't it be better if it was separate? Because if we go in with their project on their property, is it possible that sometime they can kick us out?
All of those things are, we have negotiated. I don't think that would happen in this case because they don't want the negative press of that. But we have to leverage it because the reality is the last asking price for, let's say, Brocky that I heard, and this was a couple of years ago when it was on the market, was $13 million just to buy the site. Now that price is going to go up because obviously everyone knows once the state acknowledges, the city acknowledges they're going to purchase a property, the price goes up. And so we would not be able to amass, we don't have the balance sheet to carry a $13 million purchase price, let alone the development costs. So we're going to have to partner regardless. But we know that they want a yes for the project. And our job is to figure out who are the other partners at the table who could be developers who will be patient capital and mission aligned with what we need and want.
We're going to need a very good contract.
I'm sorry, could you say that last thing again?
I said we are going to need an excellent contract.
Well, that's a fact. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Mr. Tate, the floor is yours.
Yes, just a question, Alison, regarding Brachi. Is that the parcel that they're purchasing, is that only where they have that open space, or would that include
all of it.
Island Breeze and then going back towards East 49th Street? Because I know originally when I came around here, all that was basically Brachi. But no,
Yeah.
so my question is whether or not the parcel will include where the restaurant is, and then behind where East 49th Street, going to where East 49,
I believe it'll be all of it.
out of it. Okay, so that means the restaurant will have to go to, and the nightclub. Okay. Another thing I was thinking, like I know on Farragut, because you mentioned Utica, but also Farragut going towards Kings Highway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is always a mess with all those cars. So it's a lot of, aside from the sidewalk, which I would assume that would be part of it, that they would be responsible for fixing the sidewalk. But there's some space right behind the car wash, which I don't know if it's part of the car wash or what, but there's always a lot of the mechanic uses for to park their cars
Storage
and all
and
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So
So
that's part of it too, right?
definitely. So that's why we got a plan for, like, yes, we want that for Brocky, the community resilience hub, but we wanted the culture and sound lab to be the side where the car wash is. And this is why it's important for community residents to be involved in the design process, because we know that that's a dumping site and it
Yeah.
has to involve that street being not just cleared of garbage and new what do you call it, concrete and all of that. We don't see better lighting. All of those things have to be part of a project. Otherwise, people won't feel safe to even walk there at night
Right.
or anything. And the BOA would application, because it has to be an area, for me, it would I want us as a group to decide like what the boundaries should be. But for me, it should include going up to Kings Highway, looking at what's going on in the warehouses and the produce spaces in that area as well, and some of the other dumping that happens on the other side of the street.
Yes, and to go with that, and Kings Highway, the Volkswagen dealership just closed down. So that's another
Yep.
side there.
Exactly. So that's the thing. There is enough acreage there between that side and going up Utica and spreading out a little bit, at least on the side closest to Kings Highway, to figure out a full boundary that would make sense for an area designation. My thought too is that it could also we could look at creating like wellness nodes within it as well, because yes, we have a hospital, but we also need other types of health and wellness sites. It could be um I don't know, even a uh what do you call it, like a massage space, or like a, you know, a salt castle, all those things that we don't have where you have to leave the community for, we could actually build into a plan, and then find the right small business owners, or other it could be larger, but hopefully like more small business people who would want to take a chance where we could create affordable commercial opportunities for them to start the types of businesses that we actually would like to have in our community, and more diversity of the types of ventures that get started here.
Okay. Any other questions before I ask another? Okay. Now the funding, that'll include all of the preliminary, I guess, studies that are usually associated with um, focusing on an area like this, like the impact studies and everything else. So that's included in all of the funding that's being
It starts in
requested.
the initial, this is just the planning part. So
Yeah.
there are other
Okay.
phases of it. But this is like for us to get like technical analysis that we need to
Okay.
determine what the funding is that we need to have, and all of that.
All right.
It's the beginning of a process, but when you think about it, the IBX plan was, you know, in swing well before this point. So in terms of planning, we're behind, but we're better off starting now with building something and saying, hey, we're we're in talks, we're working to build something, to then make sure that that's part of the yes of the plan. We don't need our representatives saying yes with no conditions. We need to have our own conditions, and that means coming with a plan.
Excellent. Any other questions for Brooklyn Level Up? I guess because we did get some late people in, could you just do just a once over before we close out? Just to bring, I think about three, possibly four people probably came in. Could you just do a one
Sure,
more run through quickly, and then
sure.
we'll shift. 'Cause we're doing good on time.
I will share a public link in the chat with the deck. But what we are trying to do is to help our community get off of the sidelines and be involved in leveraging the IBX project, which is to bring commuter light rail connecting Jackson Heights and Bay Ridge. We know there are going to be 3 stations in our area, one at the junction, one at Utica and Farragut, and then Remsen. And so as a result, we want to focus our efforts on the Utica one to see if we could leverage the station site, which we know will be the Brocky 1440 Utica site, to leverage that to also build a community resilience hub. So we have enough space for emergency preparedness, some additional co-working space for nonprofits in the area, as well as backbone support for small businesses. My goal is to hopefully get SBS to open a satellite best office there, so that people could get, you know, fast track support for small businesses up and down Utica. And then across the street from that, where we currently have an abandoned car wash, for that to become a culture and sound lab, which will be an sound insulated space for steel pan practice, which you know is already going on there, but it can now be in a place that it's more acceptable. And then also it would be tied to environmental justice work. So the young people who get to practice there, or community residents, can also do resilience work and look at the future of what steel pan can be, and not just in the music context. And then those 2 sites can serve as a catalyst for a green bid up and down Utica Avenue, which would be part of a brownfield opportunity area analysis that we would invite community residents to be part of building this coalition that we will need to move that project forward. And that way we'll get to have the investments that we need that also are not displacing the homeowners and the legacy businesses that have made this community what it is. So that's the goal. We need a resolution of support, and we're asking for our application, and we're asking the community board to provide that.
Excellent. Any questions before we close out? We don't have enough membership here, so I'll do a consensus vote, obviously, about this. I need someone to make a motion to draft or to
I do have-
support a drafted. What? Somebody talking? Mr. Dawes?
Yes, I have a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Ms. Martinez, are there any plans for education-related businesses? I'm thinking about preparing the youth in the area for the jobs, the careers of the future. So, for
Yes.
example, cloud engineering. So, like, there's a downtown Brooklyn. There's something called Code Ninjas. It doesn't have to be that, but that's on 4th Avenue. I imagine if there was something in the area that could serve the community, then we wouldn't have to travel downtown Brooklyn. And then also it will be a reason for people coming in from other parts where the IBX goes. Okay, I can send my child right there. It's the Code Ninjas is right there. Now, also I know like the Surly Chicken Rec Center is amazing and it has a pool and people are learning how to swim. But there's still even more need for like a goldfish swim school or something like that. Places where families would come, families in the area would leverage to help their kids learn life skills or career skills, and also people from outside the area will come and patronize those businesses. Forgive me for my loud background.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Are there any?
No, go ahead. I'm
Go ahead.
sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
Those there's two things that came off the top of my head because you also talked about bringing the people in and
I agree.
having to go downtown and having to go far out to find it, where you can actually find it in your community to make a huge difference.
I absolutely agree. And the goal is for the analysis would involve community residents deciding what are the types of businesses that are missing here that they have to go outside of the community for to enjoy. I personally do believe we don't have enough learning centers in our community. We are overrun with other things that I'm not going to say we don't need, but there are deficiencies that are holding back our community as well. And so for me is if we can create a space that would then be able to have more affordable rents to make it more attractive to people to try those businesses here, especially when it comes to educating and providing opportunities for young people, for seniors, for people to learn how to start a business. Well, all of those things could be housed in that space. And that's the goal, so that then it also becomes a feeder system for up and down that commercial corridor. Like I said, the way that the IBX project has been identified in some of the analysis they have done, they've shown that there's actually a new deck that they presented where they show an analysis of if now with looking at currently versus with the IBX, an additional half hour out of travel, like where you can get further in half an hour than you can currently, would mean like hundreds of thousands of more people could be able to leave the community and be able to get to a job or visit other people or anything like that. But my goal is like, what's the thing that's going to bring 100,000 people? Not that we would want to necessarily 100,000 people, but a lot of people to come here and spend their time and money here and give people, like I said, a reason to get off that train. We don't want to be a pass through for somewhere else, right now there's not anything that's going to get people to come off that train and spend their time here to subsidize and support our businesses to be able to learn anything about our culture or any education. All those things can be here. We just have to build them. But I agree with you in terms of having like a learning center. I don't even know of any in our area that are close at all.
Yeah, there wouldn't be anything over there because of the industrial tag. It'd be
Yeah.
transformative if something like this were to go there. Miss Bennett?
Oh, yeah. Well, I was suggesting, as you said, to bring more people into this community so that they can get off that train. Maybe we should suggest to the governor that maybe we can have a small but workable DMV office in our community instead of constantly going downtown.
I agree. I think we can analyze like what are the services that
Right.
at the city and state level that we would want to have be more hyper local, and be able to have at the very least a satellite office built
Yes.
here.
Yes. DMV. Needed.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any additional questions before we close this out? Seeing none. All right. I guess at this time, we don't have enough. I just did a count. We don't have enough members here to actually get a formal pass, but I think that this is important enough that we go and move forward with the consensus.
Yes.
I'm going to need somebody to make a motion to support a letter of resolution for Brooklyn Level Up. And what are we calling this? What was the title? I don't want to miss. Is it BOA?
It's
What are we
the
calling it?
BOA, a resolution of support for Brooklyn Level Up's Brownfield Opportunity Area Designation application.
That's what she said. Yes.
Yeah, all right. So Brownfield.
And I'm recusing myself, officially
Yeah, of
recusing
course.
myself
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
vote.
100%, 100%. With Ms.
Bennett
Allison.
wants a resolution for Ms. Allison just said yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second, George State.
All right, we open this up for discussion while Allison is here. Is anyone gonna aid me in drafting this? Nah, I got it. I'll draft the
I'll
resolution.
have a template for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, if you don't mind. And especially with the slide deck, I'd like to just package it. I would also like to distribute it, just paper, enough paper copies in the actual meeting so that somebody has something in their hands when
Don't
you're
worry. I'm
moving
going to
forward.
have a 2-pager for distribution in person. So you don't have to
Very
worry
good,
about that.
very good, very good. See that? See that? All right. Closing out the questioning, any additional questions before we move forward for consensus?
Kwame, I just wanted to say, this is CK. I just want to say, if you want help with the letter, I'm happy to help with that.
All right, we'll see what Allison gives us, and we'll add a little zazz to it. I'm sure she'll have some things covered. I appreciate that. Any additional questions before we move?
I was thinking, Mr. Afreh, that just what you said, if we could have something, because I listened, but it's Saturday first I'm hearing this, so I need to read it up and see what it's about. Sounds like a very good plan. I just need to read a little bit more on it.
Sure, it's just the beginning of
Mhm.
something. It centers
Yeah,
around for instead of allowing someone else to craft the vision of what could be there, it really just is trying to superimpose community input into
right,
what can be there, right? This is the idea
right.
of it's always been Allison as a committee member's idea is to not allow people to come in with their ideas. It's really to try to get our vision out there, so it could be included in any development plans moving forward. So conceptually, that's what it is. It is the beginning stages of it. There wasn't really like a formal plan. There was some suggestions, but there wasn't anything on board at this time. And this is really to support the idea of progressing that moving forward, to spark and fuel the idea of supporting that kind of thinking for these stations but centralizing around the one that's really in the middle of the hub, really in the middle of the community, and would really help utilize a property that's being underutilized at this time and turning it into something else. Um,
Yeah.
all right.
Thanks. Thank you.
No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope I didn't
That helped.
butcher.
No,
Not
that
at all.
helped. That helped. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
All right.
And the
So,
link for the deck is in the chat too, so you can also always take a look there. But I'll also make sure that you have it outside of this.
all right. Closing the round of questioning, I'm going to go around and take the votes to the members that I see is here. The motion on the table is to support a letter of resolution for the Brooklyn Level Up Brookfield Opportunity. Forgot the A. Don't remember what the A is.
Brownfield
Plan.
Opportunity Area.
All right. Brownfield Opportunity Area proposal. And I'll roll call those votes as I'm reading them. I'm going off of the paper first before I look up. Teresa Brenton.
Yes.
Yes. And then Adele Bennett. George Tate.
Yes.
Hazel Martinez.
Yes. You should recuse yourself. You're my mother.
Whatever.
Eh. She has a point, but she's not an organizational member, right? She's not a part of your organization, I'm assuming, right?
She's a volunteer.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can count that. I don't think that there is a obvious conflict of interest, but okay, we'll come back to that. Mr. Price, CK Price,
Aye.
very good. Miss Robinson, Miss Robinson, you there? All right, we'll come back to Miss Robinson. Miss Watson,
Yes.
thank you. Mr. Dawes,
Recuse.
Yes, but I'm a board member.
you have to
Recuse.
recuse yourself. You have to recuse yourself, Mr. Dawes.
Yes. Still a wonderful idea.
Very good. Thank you for your letter of support. Mr. Dawes is out. And Ms. Silcott?
Miss Robinson, yes.
Ms. Robinson, a yes. Okay. And Ms. Silcott? Did I get everybody? Did everybody
Yes.
say?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Brown, are you officially a member of the Land Use Committee? I believe you are, right? Ms. Herminia? Hello? Kwame Afreh is a yes. 4, 5, 6, 7, yes. 8. Minus the one recusal due to conflict. I think that we have Ms. Brown responding the. All right, on a consensus basis, is 8 yeses, 8 yeses. No no's, no abstentions. So I'll bring it up at our executive board meeting on Monday that we supported the resolution, and hopefully I can get it drafted by then. It'll be just something easier for them to actually support and vote on. Thank you to Brooklyn Level Up for your proposal and your continued community advocacy. And
Miss Brown is yes.
Ms. Brown is yes? 9?
Yes.
Sorry, you have a problem unmuting? All right. It's all right. I got 9 yeses. All right. Very good.
Thank you all for your time and willingness to support this.
Appreciate you. All right. Now, put the other hat back on. As we move along the schedule, we're here to approve, I guess, the March meeting minutes. Did everybody get the March meeting minutes and review them?
I got it.
All right. Does someone make a motion to approve the March meeting minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes
Could you state your name,
for
please?
March. Gina Watson.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Second. Allison Martinez, seconds.
After Martinez seconds. Motion's been moved and properly seconded. Do we have any amendments, adjustments, or changes to the meeting minutes or grammatical errors that anyone could state? Sorry, I'm looking at it again. Seeing none. All in favor of voting to approve the meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Aye, aye, aye.
All opposed, say nay. Aye, by the way. All opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Very good. Meeting minutes have been moved and properly approved. Thank you. Moving on to unfinished business. I do want to mention, I didn't mention in the report earlier, that we did get some outreach from the Con Edison representatives, Ms. Lewis. She didn't confirm a date, because I think this date was too soon, but she does want to come before us to provide us some progress reports. I did see a lot of activity driving around. I want to say it was Avenue I or something like that. Something along there. They were doing a lot of digging, and they're actually doing quite a amount of digging in our neighborhood to start the pathway for some of those utility lines that they're going to be bringing over to the substation. So that work has started. Just want to be aware of that. You'll see a lot of street closures coming up, and it's probably related to that work. All right. Any other unfinished business? Oh, Ms. Bennett? Ms.
Oh,
Bennett?
yes, I saw Con Edison digging over near me on Remsen between Ralph and Linden Boulevard.
I believe that's related to that work.
Are we going to get extra power?
It's hard to say it in that manner, but the idea of it is yes. It would be an extra resource to generate power to the grid. Is not totally doing our neighborhood, but it will be something that could be utilized should we get into sufficiency issues to shift into our neighborhood to provide a resource for power. It's really about burden, and honestly, it's to support a lot of the green initiatives that's been happening. Everything is turning away from natural gas and leaning more towards electric. This is from cars, this is from ovens, this is from stoves. I'm assuming it's going to eventually be dryers. A lot of these new buildings that you're seeing going up are really all electric with zero natural gas being utilized. I'm guessing for safety reasons. You would think that the price of natural gas would go down, but that doesn't seem to be the case. But but it's supposed to take away from one and provide another relay point to shift and direct power within our neighborhood. But it's not totally serving our neighborhood, but it can in the future if necessary. It's hard to explain it like that.
Yeah.
It's necessary, unfortunately, with the way things are being calculated as a necessary thing.
Because right now, I see other buildings going up near me on the Remsen, right at the Kings Highway, to the two large buildings up. And that's where it looks like the digging is headed for those buildings. Because I don't think there's enough power in the area to carry those buildings.
I will want to mention too in unfinished business that there have been a multiple amount of underground issues that I'm seeing being repaired, as I think it was a result of the extreme cold that happened during the winter months. There was a lot of infrastructural damages that are sporadic throughout the neighborhood on top of the multiple potholes that somehow are getting filled in 24 hours. It's kind of crazy. A lot of potholes and all of the stuff under the ground, from blown up transformers to, I'm seeing a lot of digging, and I'm seeing a lot of spotty repairs being done sporadically on multiple blocks throughout the neighborhood. Has anyone else observed similar activity? And this is from, I'm seeing DOT, I'm seeing DEP, I'm seeing Con Edison and National Grid. So I know it's not a one-all thing. I'm seeing multiple departments and multiple utility companies out there doing repairs. Have people been witnessing the same?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Kings
Okay.
Highway, to the big
Yeah.
intersections, right there.
Avenue D, Yeah, Rainy Day, Farragut Road.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen a lot.
yeah. I think maybe it's a good thing, but I think that's from the severity of the storm, frozen, plus the salt and the amount of salt that was used, that happened during that extreme snowstorm or the two that we had, and the operations that followed. So it's damaging, but I guess it's good because they're fixing things. I'm not sure which Martinez hand went up first. So
Go
Marty
ahead.
first. All right.
Uh,
Hey, Hazel, you're
one
first.
one of the
Yeah,
things I think also is that none of these agencies have been doing the routine things they used to do years ago. So we
that's true.
find ourselves in this situation now, but our community used to have better service and more DEP routinely flushed hydrants, clean catch basins. Those things don't go on anymore. And so we find ourselves in these emergency situations very often.
Yeah, it's definitely been more concentrated in the weeks past. And I actually saw a catch basin being repaired for the first time in my life. Um, Never seen anything like it. They had like a pylon drill, and they were like pushing it out. They dug it in, and never seen anything like it. But I guess the blessing from the storm is that the most weakest part of our infrastructure is getting repaired. Had anybody had any outages, power outages, water outages, gas outages, anything? Or they've
Yes,
been
we've had several dips in electricity
okay.
in East around here.
You're seeing like your lights dim, or is it just like or is it
Goes off
total
and then
outage?
back on, or I usually keep a calendar of when it occurs because
Okay.
I had a conversation with Juliet Lewis about it.
And it's been happening. Is it happening more frequently in the last 60 days following the storm? Is it like a concentrated period of excessive shutdowns, shutoffs?
No, but it seems that when they want to take something down, it seems to be always in this area.
Okay. Is there a
And I
certain
find that
time that's
concerning.
been happening, like at night,
No, it
middle
could
of the
happen
night?
anytime.
Okay. Trying to get a basis. Baby Martinez, Allison. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask Ever, just thinking about this too, if you are experiencing brownouts or any other infrastructure challenges, if you could just keep records of them. Um, we recently received a grant from Brooklyn Org and National Grid, which we'll have like a press release on in the future. But it's called Powering. The project we propose is called Powering the Block, and it's about learning like what's going on, mapping that so that we can have the data that we need to go and ask for the infrastructure changes that we have to have in our community. And it also involves getting community residents to become more knowledgeable about these things by like basically incentivizing you going to get the energy champions training so that you can advocate for and understand how the grid works, how energy and other infrastructure works in our community. And then we'll have like a big infrastructure forum as well where people could get support on how to make their bills, energy bills lower, and what other retrofits and everything else are available to you. So I need people to keep track of the dates because they don't believe us all the time about what is happening. But I've been up working at 1 in the morning when everything shuts off and then kicks back on all of a sudden, and that is ruining people's appliances and the like over time. So we need to be vigilant about keeping notes about what's going on.
Thank you. In addition to that, please call the 311 outside of your own records, just so that there's a city ledger on the issue. And it's something that we from the community board can reach out for and have historical data specifying what it is. So a call does register. A call can be used as a data point. And anything from excessive brown water um, or gas, the lack thereof, or even if you're smelling gas. In this situation here, where you have underground utilities being interrupted, and I would even include any of your services, Verizon, Comcast, Spectrum, not on the 311, but we need to show that all of our services are being damaged as well because they're running on the same utility lines, they're running on the same underground conduits, they're running on everything, and having a broad idea that we're being affected, not just in one utility, but in multiple, will be something easier for us to be able to not only sell, but just show that we're dealing with the
But I mean, there's
impact.
nothing wrong with that.
What'd you say? Ms. Brown?
Hold on. I'm
Oh,
on
you
this.
order, you ordering
Hello?
food or something? Yeah. You said something?
No.
All right. No problem. Mind muting yourself? Mr. Price?
Um,
I forget that was another.
I forget how many thoughts. Allison, please sign me up for that training or let me know when those things are happening.
Will do.
Yeah.
When you call 311, make sure that you take down the ticket number that you're given. I just point. Also, in regard to the original question, and to your point about other utilities, we haven't had brownouts in terms of electricity in my neck of the woods east of Remsen, but we have had cable service knocked out for hours to even like half a day at a time. And that's been easily over the last 6 months, at least 3 times. In regard to construction type work, infrastructure work, after the first big storm in like November, when everything melted off, there was some digging being done on East 92nd Street. And I was confused because they had just dug up the street for what I was told was gas, but then they were redoing it again. But it wasn't for gas this time, it was for something else, and I think it was power related. But there's definitely been relatively recent construction on East 92nd Street, but it was between the two storms. It was between the two big storms. So not the last 60 days, but maybe I'll say 90 to 120 days.
There's definitely been an uptick. And you would think that they're only being addressed because they've reached the fever point where it became dangerous, or it's a choke point where it's compromising service. I'm pretty sure everybody's been getting the letters from the gas company saying that they want to send somebody out to change your meter and review your things. And subsequently, I think that's being done for 2 reasons. One, they want to check if you have any leaks. I've actually went through it. And they want to see and try to concentrate to find out if the leaks are happening on the properties or in their lines, because they own everything from the street up until they enter your premises, I think up until the first 2 feet, and everything else is your responsibility.
I also wanted to add very quickly, in my area, we also, or at least in my immediate area, it's more apartment buildings than it is houses. I mean, there are a lot of houses, but we also have more apartment buildings over here, larger ones. So I don't know how that plays into anything. Also, to another point that you made, we've been getting a lot more work on installation of rain gutters.
Okay. All right. Miss, is that a new hand?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
I just want to mention that when you need to check your gas bills to make sure that they're not estimated bills, because when they come and change the meter,
This is
then you
true.
get bills with different ranges. But if you were doing this electronic payment, you don't know that they claim that your bill was estimated for so many months before, and then you have this humongous bill. So you should really have to pay attention to that as well.
Nope, I did experience the same thing. They said you an estimated bill just out of the blue because some battery died inside of their meter unit. So don't ignore the National Grid letters. Have you been receiving them? Unfortunately, it does open you up to them being in your property and them potentially shutting your gas off. I've experienced that as well. When they come and test and they smell or there's minor leaks, they'll actually have you perform pressure test on your lines. If it doesn't hold the PSI for over a 30-minute period, they'll shut your gas off. You have to file a TAS 87. And in the middle of the winter months, you'll end up having no heat. So be strategic. And when you call them, I would suggest the spring and when you're not cooking or planning to cook a feast. But definitely you want to look into something. And I did, speaking on the gas, I did recently write a letter. I didn't include you guys in it because it's been something I've been dealing with the actual people on the block. This is pertaining to the Wilson family on East 37th Street. You know about the National Grid explosion. I'm sharing it now just to show you the ramifications of what could happen. You had a family that had nothing to do with the explosion that happened adjacent to their property. That happened a little bit over probably a year and a half ago, August, I want to say, 2024. Where they're at now, today, is not only where their property was actually condemned by the city, they couldn't move back in. They had to live in supportive housing for a long period of time. The way that the insurances was actually handled, unfortunately, caused all of the homeowners to exhaust their policies. This was for the asbestos removal and getting engineers to actually get their properties condemned and brought back down to the ground so that it's non-livable and they don't have enough money left in the policy to rebuild, which is a travesty, right? So you have an accident that wasn't to no fault of their own. Well, obviously there was a small gas leak in the basement, which didn't cause a fire. That actually caused the sonic boom explosion. And you have, I believe, 3 residents or 3 community places that are not only being cornered now by developers to try to get their parcels, which they're not trying to pay enough to actually let them cover the debt service that's actually on the property. You have a situation where their insurance wasn't enough to cover the tragedy. So take the gas letters and the caution of it very serious. We've actually had an example in our community of what can happen. And the letter that I did write was to try to understand how something like that could happen and how something like that could be allowed. City services are not. Obviously, we've been in accidents before. Usually you would think that one person, the person that caused it, their insurance company would take the brunt of it, of at least getting all of the properties to the state that they're on now. And then that would ultimately trigger the other insurances for them to have the ability to rebuild. But in this particular case, that didn't happen. And we have 3 families that are basically homeless and don't have enough resources to actually sell their property without being in more debt, which is a shame. So take the letters serious if you're a homeowner. Don't ignore them because something small could lead to something like this. We have a real world example happened less than 2 years ago. And I am sending the letter to the elected. It's been sent to the elected, and it was really triggered for me to send it to Jamani just to try to get somebody to provide me some suggestions on how to avoid this from happening in the future. Okay. I'll share that letter at some point when I get some responses back, but it is something that I've been dealing with, and it is something that we should heed carefully. Something very small ruined some families, legacy and ownership and all of that. Unfinished business. Do we have any other unfinished business?
Oh, before
Did you
move-
just
I-
ask for me?
No,
Oh, okay, sorry.
it's okay.
I raised my hand, but I want to say to also pay attention to the estimated bills when it comes to your DEP, your water bills, because that happened
The
to
same
me
meter.
where the meter
Same meter.
wasn't
Mhm.
reading, and my bill is normally like $50 a month, and then the next month it was $2,000. And what we have to be careful about with water liens is that those are one of the liens that's one of the bills that can lead to a tax lien. I mean, can lead to a lien sale. Granted, this year, fortunately, there will not be a lien sale. However, you can get a lien on your property for that. Luckily, I was able to go to DP and say, look, if you're basing it on estimations, my estimation is always $50 a month. So how do you jump to 2,000 as what you think I should owe in water? That was able to be worked out to end up being like $200. So, but we have to be mindful of that as well, because that can lead to damage as well to your ownership interests.
You're dealing with something that's just battery rated, and they don't really do a good job of notifying you when it's shifting to estimated, because I don't think anybody selects an estimated, or they actually have the programs where you could have like a controlled bill and you pay like a set amount, and I guess every so often it balloons and then you would pay the differential. But even so, they don't do a very good job of notifying you when it's shifting and when it isn't. A terrible job, all of them, to be honest. They all do it. They all do a horrible job. Um,
But they're all looking for rate increases again this year, so
yeah, the
tax
rate
never
increases.
fails.
Yeah, it's like okay. Um, did I see a hand? Saw a hand. Somebody put a hand down. All right. Moving on to new business. Do we have any new business? See it none. With that time. Be that time. All right. Do we have anybody ready to make a motion to adjourn?
Teresa Burton, make a motion to adjourn the meeting at
8:57.
7. Yes.
You have a second? Second?
George, 30 seconds. Oh,
All right. All right now. Very good. Mr. Tate, seconds. Motion's been moved and probably seconded. The meeting is officially adjourned at 8:58. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Any things that you want me to look into, addresses, feel free to contact me at land use at community board, land use at cb17.org, or call my number. You have it. And just to reiterate that Mr. Daly is going through a tough time, our chair. Just keep his family and him in your prayers. We'll keep you updated as long as, as that situation progresses, and have a good night.
okay. Good night, everyone. I'm
Good
afraid.
night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Ayana, you there?
Yes, I'm still here.